its latest technologies. I'm your host, B-Check. I'm joined by my legendary co-host, Legendary, and we cannot wait to get into all of the news from the last 24 hours that you'll be able to find in the snapshot up top. But before we do that, as always, just a reminder that nothing that we do or say here is financial advice. This modern market is very, very risky. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, how are you doing this morning where we had a little bit of a technical issue to start off? We apologize for the delay.
GM, doing pretty good. I was just chatting in our group with Kelano. Did you get used to no JPEG Kelano to real photo Kelano, who's with us as a speaker today?
No, I've not got used to it, but I like it. I've actually been thinking.
Like it too. I like no JPEG Lano, but I still take time to get used to him. I mean, we've been on calls before and everything, but still, it's the Ute was a great PFP. I think the picture is great as well, but it takes a bit of time to get used to it.
What do you think of the Ute Exodus? Do you think this is just about doxing, or is it about getting rid of the Ute at the same time, Legendary? As speaking as someone who also got rid of a Ute, is there an Exodus going on?
I think there is a Ute Exodus going on. Swizzy didn't get rid of the Ute, but Swizzy did the double up with the Denizen and the Ute. So I think there is a bit of movement going on, but also would love to hear from Kelano himself.
Yeah, that's a funny one. That's like when you know you're close to switching, you introduce someone else into the picture, and you're like, I'm not really comfortable with moving just yet, but I don't want to be exclusive anymore. So I'm going to introduce just another character into the mix. Kelano, welcome to the stage with us, friend. What was your thinking in terms of changing your profile picture? Was it like a branding thing or a Ute Exodus thing?
yeah. Good afternoon. Now I'm going to be honest. A lot of people are telling me, "What are you doing? Is it a secret or anything?" No. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I just moved out last month, and moving to Dubai is super expensive. And I had to pull out some money of my crypto bag, and the one I believed in the least was my Utes, as opposed to my Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go PFP this year, and that's it.
What a reasonable, practical, thoughtful reason to change. I completely agree with that. Raheem clearly understands your pain. Resident Dubai NFT expert as well in the audience, can definitely understand what you mean there. I just love the fact that it's actually a practical reason. I think loads of people are always thinking like, oh, are you like not bullish on the project? Do you not like this? Do you not like that? And actually in practice, sometimes just like, I need some money, remember? Because sometimes these things are worth a lot of money. So it's actually quite useful to own the cash instead of some random JPEG. Legendary, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is a very, very reasonable argumentation. No drama, and just makes sense.
Yeah, just like I wanted the money. That's a completely reasonable option. Swizzy, what's this Denizen kind of creeping over your shoulder over there? Does your Ute have something to be worried about?
Not at all. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yep.
To be honest, I have been, without seeing Kalana's photo, thinking about going with a realized PFP. I had one earlier last year. I changed that to Utes, then to Utes and Denizen, and thought about going back. Why that? Because I mean the Denizen came in because I like to support multiple communities. And going to back to my real PFP would be exactly that, because in my banner I show off different PFPs and communities. So it's a thought I'm rethinking again and again.
I wonder what the maximum is. I wonder what the maximum number that you can show off. I think it seems to be 2 in the profile picture space. 1 main, maybe 1 on the shoulder. You got a few more on the banner. Legendary, any thought on what's the maximum amount of love that you can show to projects?
2 to 3. I think 2. two is a good number.
Actually, what's Whale got these days? Whale's got
the Azuki and the Mochaverse mask.
I think it's 2, man. I think it's 2.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be stretching it, going for a
Three is
third.
a stretch. 3 is a stretch. I agree.
3 is a stretch. You might have to be quite innovative in that respect. Also, just think it's quite fascinating that we explore the reasonings and thought processes behind the profile picture and all the significance behind it. I think that's pretty interesting. But let's stretch it out to the main news today. We were a little bit late, so we want to get into it fairly quickly. As always, it's coming to you from the snapshot, which is pinned up top. It has all the details I'm about to share. If you do find that it brings you some value today, please do give it a like. So let's do it, starting with the price action. We have crypto just fairly flat, down 1%. Bitcoin at 45.3K. ETH.
Sorry for doing that and interrupting you, which I never did before, I think, on the price action.
What?
But there is a significant update in the price action because ETH is down 10% in the last hour and Bitcoin is down. There's just a mega dump happening right now. ETH is at 2.1K and Bitcoin is at 41K and Solana is at $93.
No,
So
you're joking.
everything
Really?
is look at CoinMarketCap. Everything is down right now massively.
Why? What happened?
I don't know. I just Googled if the ETF got declined or something, but I didn't find any news.
Okay. Do
So
you want to
everything is down massively right now.
change the title while I finish the news and try to figure out just get you up to speed with what else has been going on? Legendary,
Sure.
do you want to change the title and then we'll probably explore this? Oh my god, you're right. Okay, I'm going to read the news, then I'm going to show for the people on YouTube the coin market cap screen of everything that's going on and all the coins right now. And we're going to get to that. So forget the price action. The headlines for today were the Node Monkeys passed 500 Bitcoin volume and approach a 0.2 floor after Gordon Goner buy. Number 2, ETH restaking protocol Eigenlayer LST caps hit. They actually have more than 600,000 ETH restaked. That's pretty huge. And finally, there was a big kind of news about US crypto tax obligations getting a bit crazy. You have to report any payment over $10,000, which most people thought was completely unworkable. Getting into some notable sales and the floor prices of notable collections, we've got Tyler Hobbs, Fidenza at 69.9 ETH, that's $166,000. A Meta Hero Core selling for 19 ETH. Remember, that's a Pixel Vault asset. And CryptoPunks were at 55.9, Bored Apes at 26.8, Mutants at 5. Although, I mean, I might just stop there. DGods were up 8% to 3.4 because I don't know if the NFT market's been affected in the last hour as well. So let's take a look at that. If I go to CoinMarketCap for the people on YouTube and for the people listening on X, we've got Bitcoin down 7% at 42.2, ETH down 8.5% at 2.2, just under 2.2. Solana, as you say, down 17% at 94.2. Legendary, what's happening?
I don't know. I mean, it looks like we're already seeing a bit of a correction because when we were still talking about the right amount of PFPs, ETH was at 2.13K and we're almost up to 2.2K. I don't know what is going, if it's just like a flash crash, someone massively dumping, or if we have actual news on something happening, but I'm kind of trying to figure this out in the meantime.
Okay, very interesting. I'm just going to go to the comments to see if we have any live information there. I mean, Raheem has come in and said, I just want to take a moment and clarify, London is way more expensive than Dubai. Raheem, kind of moved on from that at the moment, my friend. That is very, very valid. We've got a bit of a disaster here. So any disaster clarifications, that would be helpful. Lots of people commenting on profile pictures. Guys, come on, the market's just dumping 10%. We've moved on from profile pictures. Funky, I mean, look, this is all great. Suggestions for the new title. Funky says we should title the show down massively. Patrick has said, change the title and we'll get thousands of visitors. Yes, guys, we know we're changing the title, but we need to know what's actually happening.
Let me add a Giga before the dump. Let me make it Giga dump.
Okay, so I mean, is going to be useful, no doubt. The feedback on what the title of the show should be has been noted. We have acted on it. in live fashion. Let's try to actually figure out what is going on then. Justin says 10% yawn, just another day in crypto. To be fair, on some level, that's probably true, but it does seem a little bit extreme. Legendary, I don't know if you're still looking, but Mikhail in the comments just posted this from 2 minutes ago. This, I believe, is what we are looking for. Shout out to the Modern Market crew coming through with the information that we're looking for. Here we go. This seems to be what it is. The matrix report, a matrix report, don't know who they are at the moment. We're just trying to figure this out live at the moment, so let's figure it out. Matrix report says that BTC ETF will be denied. AK on the YouTube screen, on the YouTube show suggests is Sailor dumping. I don't think that's ever the case. That's not one of the possibilities that we're entertaining, I don't think.
Matrix Port is an all-in-one crypto financial services platform where users can earn, invest, trade, loan, and buy crypto assets. Just for clarification, because I had no idea about them, but it seems like this news is spreading quite a lot. Breaking Market News picked it up.
Okay.
As well. That's another account with 450k followers and retweeting in caps lock why the SEC will reject Bitcoin spot ETFs again.
Wait, I don't understand though. This is just this looks like, okay, so this was published this morning or today. When the date on this document is Wednesday, the 3rd of January.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't saying that it has been denied. This is, I guess, like a prediction. Let's
actually read a bit through the document, right? I have the summary in front of me.
Do you want to do some reading?
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it saying? Matrix on target has been bullish against consensus expectations in 2023, predicted early in the year that Bitcoin could reach 45k by Christmas. We've even expected that if all the SEC requirements for Bitcoin spot ETFs were fulfilled, Bitcoin could rally toward 50k by the end of January 2024. Then it goes on, yada, yada, yada. Then the current 5-person voting commissioner's leadership critical for the ETF approval of the SEC.
Sorry, can I just come in, Legendary?
Sure.
One other important sentence from there, which I think, well, obviously we're going through this bit by bit, but one important aspect that says this might be fulfilled by Q2 2024, but we expect the SEC to reject all proposals in January. So far, we've only read that this is like an expectation / prediction. So just clarifying that. Keep going. That's good.
Absolutely. So it goes on. The commissioners are dominated by Democrats. We have SEC Chair Gensler is not embracing crypto in the US. It might even be a very long shot to expect that he would vote to approve Bitcoin spot ETFs. An ETF would certainly enable crypto overall to take off. And based on Gensler's comments in December 2023, he still sees this industry in need of more compliance from a political perspective. There's no reason to approve a Bitcoin spot ETF that would legitimize Bitcoin as an alternative store of value. Since traders started betting on an ETF approval in September 2023, at least 14 billion of extra fiat and leverage has been deployed into crypto. Some of these flows might be associated with easier macro conditions as the Fed has turned dovish. However, of those $14 billion of additional longs, $10 billion might be related to the ETF approval. If there's any denial by the SEC, we could see cascading liquidations, as we expect most of the $5.1 billion in additional perpetual long Bitcoin futures to be unwound. We could see Bitcoin prices declining by 20% very quickly and falling back to the 36 to 38k range. Suppose market participants have not heard of any approvals by Friday, January 5th. In that case, Matrix on Target recommends that traders hedge the long exposure by buying the 40k strike puts for the end of January, or even going outright short Bitcoin through options. Even if the SEC would deny the ETF, we still expect Bitcoin prices to be higher by the end of 2024 than when they started the year at 42k, as US election years and Bitcoin mining years tend to be positive. And then it also says this is just an extract from the full report. So this is just the exec summary that we've seen so far.
Okay, headline thoughts. And remember, we're doing this live, trying to figure out what's going on. Headline thoughts is this can't be what is making the market dumping. Like, I think we need to look a little bit deeper, because this is just, from what my reading of this is like some teams research expectations, predictions to their clients, to the market. Like, this is how we are thinking about things. This is how we think things are going to play out, and how we think you might want to position yourselves in various scenarios. Doesn't say anything here about ETFs being denied. So that's my initial thought. What do you think about that, Legendary? We're still doing some digging, got some comments to read out that people are providing some interesting context.
I mean, I don't know. On the flip side of it, when we had the fake ETF approval, it was also spread by one X account and then was quote posted hundreds and thousands of times. We saw the market move rapidly. So the same logic would go otherwise. If someone says it has been rejected or it will be rejected, and the headline makes it look very definitive, I would assume a similar reaction in the market, which we could be seeing right now, unless we're missing something else.
Okay. Yes, I agree with that. That's definitely true, right? It's definitely true that sometimes this market can run on basically anything. The one thing I would kind of makes me think that it shouldn't be that is because it just seems to be so across the board and so quick. Like, I was literally just writing the snapshot. I guess it was an hour and a half ago, so it's far newer. But for the market to do this so quickly, it does make me think that there could be something else. Just looking a little bit of an update to see if there's been any changes. Bitcoin's still down 6%, 42.5, ETH at 2.2, down almost 8. So that's correcting up, right, Legendary? Yeah. So it bounced. So
we're bouncing.
Let's try and see if we can make this bigger. So ETH went as low as 2.1 and it's above 2.2 now. That's so strange. What did you think about the comment in the report about the longs? Gone.
No, I had to laugh because Fluid, the company by Loopify, reported on the news, and the news is, in the last hour, the entire crypto market just dropped a lot. That is the entire news.
But
it is the news, right?
That's what you title the space as well. Giga dump down a lot.
True. Yeah. Simple mind.
Okay, my question was on the report itself. I mean, one of the aspect of the reports I kind of agree with, or I can see there being some truth to, is this aspect of the longs. So of $14 billion of additional longs, 10 billion might be related to the ETF approval expectation. So I guess that, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the suggestion that people are using leverage to go long on the market, and there's just too much leverage in the market, and that could get wiped out in some way. Is that how you read that?
Yeah, that's not exactly how I read it.
Okay.
And I also see now Ash Crypto, The Block, Breaking Market News, which is the Financial Juice account, as well as many other now picking up that report and quoting it as the source for the market dump that we are seeing in this moment.
You got so that is the source of the dump, according to these other sources.
That is what we seem to think. Yeah, according to a source that is quoted by other sources of someone saying that the SEC might reject the Bitcoin spot ETF. And Matrix actually yesterday said that they are bullish on the ETF, and it could be a 50K Bitcoin price target. So I don't know what's going on there. I need to figure a bit more out about the reports that they have put out in the past. But that seems on the timeline right now. But as you said, we're reporting live. We're trying to figure out what's going on ourselves in this very moment. So apologies if not everything that we're reporting on turns out to be accurate, because we're trying our best to cover this live.
Absolutely. Again, shout out to Mikhail for providing that report. I want to go to Funky with their hand raised, and we've got some other both interesting comments and humorous comments. I'm glad that we're in such good spirits. Clearly, none of the modern market squad are particularly fussed about this, because we have Kodama chiming in saying Binance need money and made 1 billion shorting the market. So Kalano also came in by saying the Jim Cramer reverse effect in full. I think as long as people are able to laugh and joke about Jim Cramer, that means we are not too exposed. So that is a positive. Funky, your hand is raised. Welcome to the stage. How are you making sense of what's going on at the moment? Have we missed anything? What are your thoughts?
No, everybody already stole my jokes. So I'm glad Legendary brought up the thing about the pump from a couple months back, because that's one of the first things I was going to say. It's quite common for exchanges to do these types of liquidity hunts. They can see the books, they see the open interest. If all these longs are there just sitting there primed, all it takes is one fickle bad news event like this to send the cascade down. They're going to make money on the way down. And everybody who's listening to this is a veteran in the space largely. So we're just going to yawn and look at this and think, oh, okay, it's just another day of crypto, like somebody already said. But while we have another emergent situation happening, and there's 150 people plus in here, if you're not following the new Modern Market account, please give that a follow and subscribe to the YouTube. All right, just got to say that.
Appreciate you, man. Definitely, we're trying to make sense of this stuff as we go. We do this every single day. If you are new to the show, we go live at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT on X and on YouTube, where you get a little bit of extra visual delight at the moment. And I'm not talking about me or the article. I don't know. Just
So you're talking about me, in essence. I am the visual delight on YouTube.
Yep. That's
Cool.
that's where we went. That's where we went with that one. Okay, Legendary, you're going to send me some of those official articles. I want to shout out. Oh, Kalano, Funky, they said they couldn't hear you in the audience. You might want to drop down and come back, Funky, in case some of the audience couldn't hear you properly. But in essence, Funky just explained this is what happens when leverage is in the system sometimes. P. Dito came in, and I think this is a good point to make too. He says this happens all the time in TradFi. People release an end tail report for attention. If they're right, they're heroes. If they're wrong, everyone forgets. Legendary, what do you make of that assessment of things?
I mean, I never heard about Matrixport before. Now I heard about them, and I would assume this is the case for many of the 170 plus listeners in our space today. So there's definitely truth to that. I know. Have you been aware of Matrixport before? Maybe I'm just missing them in my list of knowledge that I should have.
No, I don't think so. I'm aware of very reputable institutions in London being called Matrix. Like, I think Matrix is a good name if you want to sound like you're a very reputable institution who are really smart. So I like them from that perspective, but I can't say that I know that their reports are particularly well. I just don't know much about them. I just want to give my headline thought again on this. And Legendary, if you could send me over one of those, one of the key sources that are also referring back to these, because I think it might be helpful to go through one. My key headline thought, just to reiterate for people coming in, is that this seems very, very strange if the market genuinely is running with drawing a conclusion from this report. Because to me, when we just read through the report, there doesn't seem to be anything in the report that says that ETF has been denied. It's just saying if the ETF has been denied, then that would be bad because there is too much leverage in the ecosystem. That is the headline thought. Legendary, a quick reiteration of your kind of reflection on that now that we've spoken about it a bit. And maybe
it's very, very weird because I looked up some other Matrixports and I made that hint that there was a more bullish report published as of yesterday, and I actually found that it was quoted by Benzinga Crypto News saying also by Matrixport that Bitcoin prices will peak at 50K USD in January 2024 based on a Matrixport report. And highlighting, there was a report that highlighted during Asian trading hours that the Bitcoin funding rate peaked at a new all-time high of 66.1%, implying longs pay shorts 66% per year to stay long. And that future-driven spot market squeeze could lift Bitcoin prices above Matrixport's 50K target level for January 2024. So And that article, I'll send it to you in our private comments on StreamYard so that you can share that as well. It's the latest thing that I just sent, is by Matrixport, a report from yesterday that is titled Bitcoin Spot ETF Approval Imminent, BTC to Jump to 50K. So yesterday they published a report that says BTC ETF will be approved, it will go to 50K. And today they have apparently a report saying, nah, all ETF filings will be declined and BTC will crash. So in that case, whatever happens, one Matrixport report was right at the end of the day, which is very, very ridiculous.
This is so weird. You're right. So they're on the Matrix Report website.
Yeah, I sent you the other link as well in
Yeah,
our
I've
chat.
got it.
If you want to share that screen as well.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm
watching
just
this on YouTube.
slowly
You know, you're
trying.
still on the Benzinga article.
No,
like
no,
on
I've got to open on a separate one. I'm just going to.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
I'm just moving it over. But yeah, you're right. This is so strange. So literally, as you can see on the YouTube, and for the people who can't see, and to summarize, today a Matrix report has highlighted that the funding rate is too high, implying longs. There's just a lot of leverage in the system. Price action. This is very strange. Okay, so that was written. No, so this article is yesterday's as well, Legendary.
That's what it said. Bullish article yesterday, bearish article today.
Okay, yeah, I understand now. Okay, so yeah, this is the actual report where they said yesterday, Bitcoin spot ETF approval imminent, BTC to jump to 50K. Have you had a chance to pick out anything from here, Legendary? Did you think anything was particularly interesting?
They said the potential Bitcoin spot ETF approval could be announced today or tomorrow ahead of most traders' expectations for approval on January 8th, 9th, or 10th. And remember, the other article says if there's no approval by Jan 5th, there's not going to be one. So that's already contradicting. And then they're saying if this occurs, we expect Bitcoin prices to rise significantly. And then it's a bit of historical things and historical rallies, what happened, and also explaining the inflow that we've seen in the market. That is also explained in the bearish report. So it's literally the counter thesis to the other piece that we've just talked about.
Okay, this is very strange to me. That's amazing digging. Thank you for bringing those two things up. Thank you to all the people in the comments. We're going to get around to you in a second for kind of assisting us move through this live news story. That's very, very strange to me. What do you think is going on here, Legendary?
I mean, at the end of the day, they will have a report that is right, and it seems very engineered. All jokes aside, Swizzy is saying in the YouTube comments they are engagement farming. They definitely are, and it's a good way to farm engagement if you don't care about what the market does. But we also see a bit of price recovery right now, right? So ETH just broke 2.2K. Bitcoin is back up to 42.3K. Solana bounced back a bit as well from the lows at 90 to 94 lows to 97, 98-ish. So if the story now spreads that, you know, that bearish report was published today and the bullish report was published yesterday, which in essence makes both reports absolutely pointless, at least in my opinion, we could see a reversal of that dump very quickly. Still, given the assumption that this is the reason we are dumping, or we were dumping.
Okay. Very, very interesting. Justin in the comments just said, this just in, Matrixport will unpublish a report in the next few days, leaving the accurate report in place and saying recorded. I mean, to be fair, maybe you just have to have both of them out there in the public, and then you figure it out after, depending on what happens.
But isn't it ironic that yesterday we spoke about like our biggest shows and all the catastrophes that led to the biggest shows, and we're like, let's hope we're not see another show like this for a while. And literally one day later, we have 250 plus people live with us because it is another one of those days where shit is going on in the market. It's just beautiful to look at.
We said it yesterday. Disaster.
Yeah, we said yesterday
spaces.
that we don't want a disaster space, and we hope we won't see one for a longer time. And well, our streak lasted for 24 hours.
Absolutely. Pretty crazy stuff there. Zeit asked, is the modern market sponsored by big banks? Why are you highlighting a plant article? Zeit, it's a good question. Unfortunately, we're not sponsored by any, well, we do have sponsors, but it's not a big bank. We're trying to figure out what's going on, my friend. The markets are pretty red, as you've seen. And we've kind of got to the bottom of something here, which is that there are two very contradictory articles published by Matrixport. One being very, very bullish, expecting BTC to go up above 50K, and seemingly the day after suggesting that there's too much leverage in the ecosystem. But to be fair to the report, Legendary, what do you think about this? Like, to be fair to the report, which is the one out today. So we've got this one on, hang on. I want to get up on the screen, the two, so we can see them next to each other. Just got to go back to Mikhail's tweet, which is this Matrix report one. Okay. So oops, my mouse has stopped working. So to be fair to the report that went out today. So here we go. On the screen, we have the one published on the 2nd of January, Bitcoin spot ETF approval imminent, BTC to jump to 50K. Then we have this one published Wednesday, the 3rd of January, suggesting that we expect the SEC to reject all proposals in January. So that's the key difference, right? The key difference between these two reports is that suddenly today they've decided to publish that they think the SEC are going to, or they expect the SEC to reject all the proposals. So I think that is the key difference between these two things. In addition to that, in this Wednesday report, they've said that they think there's too much leverage in the ecosystem, which means that we'd get flushed out in the event that we do not see approvals. But to be fair to the report, the final thing I was going to say is that it does not say that it's been, it doesn't say that it's been rejected. It just says this is just like their opinion, which is why I'm so.
The headline literally says why the SEC will reject Bitcoin spot ETF again. So the headline makes it look like a very engagement farming definitive news, and this is exactly what people read. People don't read the full report, they don't read the full XX summary, they read the headline. And yesterday they read ETF approval imminent, BTC up to 50K in Jan, and today they read SEC will reject in caps lock Bitcoin spot ETFs again.
Do you know how what that reads like? That reads like a Twitter Spaces title. Like they might as well have said.
Could be Mario Nawal, yeah.
That might as well have been the title of our Spaces. Conflicting Matrix report reports. ETF approved yesterday, today denial. Especially the way they've even got why the SEC will in normal writing and then reject in capital letters Bitcoin spot ETF. So I think those are all fair points.
Just commented, by the way, Matrixport is Yellow Pages at its finest. Would agree with that, yeah.
Well, it's we don't want to. We're still learning about Matrix in many respects. Funky says keyword as if. Clickbait headlines. Welcome to modern day journalism. Yeah, it does seem that way. That's a comment from Miss A, the crypto coach. Legendary, kind of, I guess we're getting close to forming our proper conclusions on this. Whilst I get through some more of the comments, which I think are either informative or genuinely funny, what's your kind of opinion, thought as we move out of this figuring out period of what's going on?
I mean, it's interesting to observe because we were able to talk about, the fake approval news, and we instantly saw the market reacting to that. And now we have, let's call it a fake rejection news to some extent, because it kind of gets reported as a definitive fact, which doesn't seem to be the case yet. It doesn't seem to be the case that there is already a decision made by the SEC that has been communicated publicly. That's not the case, right? So we also have a chance to kind of experience what the market would do if the market assumes that the ETFs would be rejected. And given how fast and violent the move was and how confused people have been, on the other hand, it's still cool to see how fast we had that little recovery, and that both BTC and ETF were still holding above the 40 or 2K mark, and significantly above those two marks. So that was actually quite nice to see.
Interesting. That is a thoughtful interpretation. Funky, your hand is raised. Kalano, maybe just give us a thumbs up if you can hear Funky, or thumbs down if you can't hear Funky. Anyone else in the audience as well, just give us a thumbs up or thumbs down if you can hear Funky as he's about to contribute. We'd love to hear his thoughts and contributions on where we've got to with analyzing this significant drawdown across the markets. Funky.
I think you guys have done a wonderful job giving the play-by-play, but more importantly, I wanted to just note that we've seen 274 people in here. That's like, so we need emergencies every day, because the Modern Market is such a great show that everybody needs to be here listening to this fine analysis. So if you guys haven't already done so, please follow the Modern Market account. We still have about 15 minutes. There's a great conversation going. Please share the space, like it, retweet it, get it out there. Comment below, keep the stuff coming. You guys have been a fantastic group today.
Thank you very much. Echo everything that Funky said. Thank you so much for shouting us out, Funky. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you for joining us today on this day where we're trying to figure things out a little bit as we go live. It might be a kind of different show than what we normally do. We normally go through all the NFT market headlines as well as crypto, but equally we can do this live kind of fact-finding analysis at the same time if we need to. And shout out to all of you in the audience. All of your comments have been super helpful and even better, entertaining at times. So that is really helpful. Thank you for all of those suggestions. Just another few shout outs on the comments. Zataxter said any kind of market movement and variations of up and down equals good in their opinion, but not quite sure. But no approval of the ETF is a bit and a half. Not sure about the final part. But thinking that some volatility is necessary. To be fair, we have been going up in a straight line for a little bit for a while, so maybe it just needs a correction. It's just exceptionally violent though at the moment. Miss A said, Matrixport is an Asian crypto firm. How does it make sense they would have a deep understanding of how SEC approves or disapproves an ETF? That is a reasonable point. I think that there is a lot of different cultural and when you're operating in a different environment, different regulatory environment, things do genuinely work differently. And it's probably fair to say that the people who are closest to, or alternatively have a lot of experience working in a particular environment, are best able to comment on it. Legendary, is that definitely correct when you looked up Matrix?
Yes, I have the Crunchbase profile open. Matrixport is based in Singapore. A bit more on the company's description. As we said, one-stop digital asset financial services platform. They have $10 billion in assets under management and custody, and over $5 billion in average monthly trading volume. That includes Cactus custody, spot OTC, fixed income, structured products, lending, as well as asset management. Headquartered in Singapore. Matrixport's mission is to make crypto easy for everyone, blah, 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 blah. Company has over 220 employees servicing both institutions and retail customers in Asia and Europe, so 0 US exposure. And Crunchbase also says that as a venture capital firm, that they have done more than 21, or that they have done 21 investments so far. Been around since, or was it? I think I saw 2019. Yes, February 2019. The only thing that I would maybe have a bit of a caveat to add on is the number of investments, because Crunchbase obviously is a database that tries to follow VC investments, but it's not always perfectly accurate. But the description of the company, as well as the location, what they're focusing on, is from Matrixport themselves, so that should be accurate and correct.
Absolutely. So awesome, additional context there and factual information about the company itself. Thank you so much for the initial question from Miss to kind of spark that live research. Z Oracle says, I think a very fair comment, and this is the one I'm kind of leaning towards now. Never heard of Matrix Port before. It's stupid that they got all this attention. And that was kind of what we were leaning to 15 minutes ago as we started to make sense of it. It doesn't seem like a coherent thing for the market to react in this way when you actually read the report. Yes, if you read the headline, it looks scary. But as you say, like when you read beneath the headline, they're just saying what they think is going to happen. They don't think that the SEC is going to pass the ETF yet. And they think that there's too much leverage in the ecosystem. So that's what they think. I don't know why everyone would run with that and tank the market as a consequence. One thing I've just seen, thank you, Greggy, for sharing it. Greggy, one of the top modern market listeners, I believe over 50 hours at least with us, is this. I'm going to share this on our YouTube. Remember, the Modern Market account is hosting this space, so you can follow along on Twitter for all of our show announcements. We go every single day, as well as clips from every single show. But you've also got a link to our YouTube there should you ever wish to join us on video. We have the CoinDesk just tweeting like 7 minutes ago, Bitcoin lost 8% of its value on Wednesday as jitters around the anticipated approval of a spot BTC ETF began to enter the market. If we click through, let's see what they say. Do not sell my personal information. Thank you. Bitcoin slumps as $400 million liquidated in 2 hours. And again, so this is correct. Shout out to Mikhail again for coming up with the Matrix report immediately. Financial services company Matrix Report said it expects the SEC to reject all ETF applications this month. I just, look, this is my, now that this seems to be coming through and more people just to be, seem to be confirming that this is the source of this move. I think this is just completely insane, frankly. It's completely insane that this report, if it's definitely this report, which it seems to be the case based on all of these confirmation articles we're seeing, if this is the source of such a significant move, that is, it's just insane to me because there's nothing in the report.
It's market manipulation. You could make the case. I don't that this is a way to manipulate the market. I'm not saying that this is the report, but somehow this got massive traction right now. So I don't know if it is Matrix Port putting that out or whoever like shared that. And in the way that yesterday we had bullish news that supposedly was there to pump the price, and now we have this bearish news that if there's no substance behind those reportings would open up a very beautiful cheaper entry price for whomever wanted to do that. That is wild to see that over and over and over again in this market.
Absolutely. Just to add a little bit more context to where we find this report coming out, they said within the very same CoinDesk article, they have confirming that last week Reuters reported that a Bitcoin ETF could be approved as soon as Tuesday or Wednesday, which is today. But as you say, Matrix report rebuffed the optimistic expectations. Very, very strange. Could someone please post me the Matrix report Twitter handle if they indeed have one in the comments? I'm monitoring those at the moment. That'd be really helpful.
It is real Matrix Port. I'll post it in the comments on StreamYard.
Thank you.
And they also have a post out there, which is from 2 hours ago, where they exactly say that they project a January rejection for the Bitcoin spot ETFs. And that post has gotten up to 157 reposts, 150K views. And they also have on the very X account, the post from yesterday, where they anticipate a substantial Bitcoin surge to 50K, driven by an imminent Bitcoin spot ETF approval. So it's literally it's back to back. You have those two posts.
So what do we make of that then?
But the pumping post only got 24K views. So the FUD news is spreading better. It's giving them better and more engagement.
Well, I think people kind of know that to be true for sure. let's take a look at the, it's not working. The Twitter handle. Let me see.
Real matrix port.
Got it. 1 second. Okay, just dealing with some of the comments in YouTube. Shout out to all the people coming over to YouTube too. Andrew says we've seen those kind of crashes before, and usually they recover very fast, except if there are conditions that really push the price down. I guess that's the key question, isn't it, Andrew? And the one we're trying to figure out, is there anything fundamental here? Our conclusion, at least as what we can see at the moment, is that there isn't really. A bunch more people in the comments coming through now and liking the idea that this is market manipulation and or just the fact that this seems to be a bit of a joke report. Okay, interesting. So that seems to be the sentiment in the comments. People seem to think that this is a joke report. I mean, not that funny joke, but it's not maybe not a sincere report. Well, at least the fact that it shouldn't necessarily have had the impact that it's had. Just looking at its Twitter, at their Twitter, I bet they didn't expect someone to be doing like a deep dive on them immediately after. But I guess this is one of the things we're able to do now when things are happening live. On their Twitter, they say they're one of the world's largest and most trusted digital asset platforms. Maybe that's why they're able to tank the market, if that is true. Brand owner of Matrix Stocks, specialized in tokenized real-world assets. Interesting. So yeah, as you said, that key article, which was published 2 hours ago, has 160 likes, 168 reposts, 172,000 views, which is about 160,000 more views than maybe their typical report. I don't know if that's completely fair, but it's clearly at least 100,000 more views than their articles usually get. Okay, interesting stuff. Swizzy just thinks it's the cabal being the cabal, but I think we're kind of coming out of this, Legendary, as we draw towards the end of the show. I'm looking for some more comments that people might be interested in finding out about. Do you want to, I don't know, maybe draw a line under this? Are there any comments that you want to pick out for the people just joining? Is there anything you'd want to, your key assessment of the situation?
Yeah, I think I very much resonate with what Andrew said on YouTube, the comment you also highlighted before. We've seen those kind of crashes before, and usually the recovery is very fast, except if there are conditions that really push the price down. We did our best to do an impromptu analysis over the last hour, and from what we are able to tell so far, there are no serious conditions pushing down the market. It is just a bit of a conflicting report situation, and the bearish out of the two reports got a lot of traction and sent the market down. And I think that we've also seen a significant bit of recovery. Again, when we started the show, 10 minutes after we started the show, Bitcoin was at 40.8K. Now we are up to 42.7K, moving up almost to 43K again. So it seems like that was a fake dump based on that report. But
Very
I think
interesting.
maybe one more sentence. I think we clearly can see the tension in the market and how much everyone is looking forward to finally have the clarity by the SEC which way we're going with the ETFs in Q1, and how very anxious the market is right now. Except, or despite being in a bullish sentiment, it's still an anxious market if we have one. I still want to call it a fake news just based on the headline like that. Because it made it look so definitive. And if one news like that spreads and instantly crashes the market without any further due diligence or waiting on an official report, tells you a lot about the state of the market.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that assessment. I think that's a nice way to start to think about concluding. We are going to go for a few more minutes, and I want to give anyone who's new here, usually what we do on the show, because of the emergency situation, we've done a bit of a live deep dive into what's going on. I think we've come to reasonable conclusions on what's going on. But we also, towards the end of the show, do the Web3 Roundup from the snapshot pinned up top. This is a daily news publication that I put out every single morning. If you do like it, please give it a like. If you find that it brings you some value today, I'm just going to bring you the rest of the news given that we've kind of got on top of the emergency, I think anyway. And then we're going to do some final conclusions before we close out the show. So getting to the snapshot, as always, it's pinned up top. We have the Web3 news. We've got 90% of Blur volume has been dumped into bids in the last 3 days. That's awesome analysis from NFT Stats, as always, kind of suggesting that the market really wants to hold that crypto instead of holding NFTs, probably because a lot are expecting the underlying crypto to go up. Number 2, I found this one really interesting. Etherscan adds SolScan to their team, bringing ETH and Sol credibly neutral data together. That's really, really interesting. Number 3, NFT perps go live in Wasabi in partnership with Flooring Protocol. Now you can use leverage with your NFTs. Number 4, ThreadGuy announces co-host applications going live in 48 hours for a new daily show. That was basically breaking the creator side of the internet yesterday, as everyone wanted to get seen in front of ThreadGuy as he tries to figure out who's going to be his next host. Some more news, and very important news on the airdrop side. Well, after this one, Maker announces a redenomination at 5 cents a token. That will be important for their expansion. But on the airdrop side, Dimension airdrop was announced for Cosmos stakers and ETH L2 stakers. That includes Celestia stakers. And finally, Jupiter announces the airdrop in the 4th week of January. The founder of Jupiter, remember, this is like the largest Solana DEX. I think it's doing more volume than the Ethereum DEX is right now too. Very good product. In the longest tweet that you could have possibly imagined, and I'm almost certain no one actually read, I managed to find the date when they were going to launch. So that's in the 4th week of January for all of you who will be eagerly waiting for that Jupiter airdrop. So that is the rest of the Web3 roundup. We do that every single day, making sure you're up to speed on everything going on in the NFT market, in the crypto market, and broadly in Web3 too. Legendary, any final thoughts as we close out the show?
I think it was actually the perfect timing to see the dump starting when the show started and seeing the story and a bit of the reversal unfold within those last 60 minutes. But honestly, I kind of like, obviously I don't like the dump and I don't like the market manipulation, but I like shows like this when we have to go off script, like quote unquote off script. We don't have a script, but we have the news that we want to talk about, and we have to basically improvise and do like citizen journalism together with listeners, with commenters, with speakers. It is, I don't know, it has a special vibe, a show like this.
Leslie, I love you. Just keep making the case for more disasters. Basically, I agree with you. It's a pretty fun one to do. It's definitely been enjoyable, like crowdsourcing all the information and the knowledge and going back and forth. Like I do enjoy it as well. But fewer disasters, maybe. But actually,
but we said that yesterday, right? We said fewer disasters yesterday, and here we are today. So maybe we shouldn't mention our listener numbers, disasters. We shouldn't jinx it at all in the future.
Absolutely. Well, just so people know, you don't need to only tune in when it's a disaster. We do this every single day, and it's high quality stuff, proper analysis of the NFT market as well as crypto, because that's entirely linked as well. Pix, I want to throw to you just before we close out. NFT researcher, trends spotter, co-president of Utes. What's your thought as we close out the show on what we've kind of gone through this morning?
Yo, Jim. I won't take much time. I didn't want to add any to the convo. I feel like everything has been discussed yet. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you that I spoke to ThreadGuy before he posted this co-host thing. Like we talked on the phone, and he was asking me like for a cool co-host. And I mentioned both you and Legendary, and he said like, "Yo, these are goated." And like, I told them that your both are like in UK, and he was so bummed, you know. But I mean, like, if you ever move to US, just make sure to DM him.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Thanks for providing that information. Yeah, like it's funny. I mean, I've spoken to ThreadGuy as well before, and there's definitely a thing. Like, it's much harder to connect. I had this really good friend in the space who's out on the west coast of Canada as well, and it definitely puts up a barrier in terms of how much you're able to interact with people, even if you think they're absolutely awesome and they're absolutely crushing it. It does help in certain ways to be a bit more aligned on the time zone. Not to say that these things can't be figured out on occasion, but yeah, that's awesome updates. Definitely an opportunity for whoever gets that role. Thanks for that, Pix. Thanks to everyone for joining in. We hope you've had a great show with us. That's been a really fun one. Got through everything. As a reminder, we do this every single day, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT, live on X. You can follow the Modern Market account, which is hosting the show. You can also subscribe to our YouTube, which has had an all-time high number of people watching with us today. So that has been very fun. And we're going to be doing more video content and stuff. There'll be all kinds of clips coming out on X, and there'll be more to come from us as 2024 gets ramping up. Legendary, thank you so much for co-hosting. As always, I think we did a great job there, mate. Any final thoughts before we close out?
No final thoughts, nothing to add to it.
Good stuff. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Let's hope the market stays and goes back up as we hope to expect. Have a good one. We will be back with you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.